I am apparently live now. Howdy, everyone. I'm just listening to myself back to make sure that it's actually coming through. Am I live? I am apparently live now. Howdy, everyone. I'm just listening to myself back to make sure that... There we go. All right. So, assuming you can all hear me and we can get this done. This is my first live stream using OBS, meaning that like you can see my screen and you can see me down in the bottom corner, just like a standard tutorial. So, hurrah! Let's hope that that works. Now, let me just load up my phone here because I want to make sure that as I'm streaming, that it's actually playing through. So, welcome. I can see the chat is going mental. So that's cool. But let me just check that everything works before I dive into this Unreal Engine unveiling. Because otherwise that would suck. It's like I talk for like an hour and then no one can hear me, or stuff's broken, or fucking whatever. Let's see. So that's cool. But let me just check that everything works before I... Wow, what a delay, huh? There's like a 20 to 30 second delay from when I speak to when you guys will actually see it. So that's fun. So I'll ask a question and then I'll hold my hands up like this and I'll just wait an unhealthy amount of time with dead air. It's like the longest, like whenever the news anchors like, and now we've got Stacy on the ground. Stacy, can you hear us? And she's like, for like 30 seconds. Yeah, I can hear you. All right. So, Unreal Engine 5. This came out of nowhere. I did not expect this whatsoever. Actually, no, that's not true. Yesterday, I was talking to NVIDIA on the phone because I'm like that. They just call them up on the phone. But yeah, we were sort of like talking about the different approaches that offline renderers and online renderers are going. Like offline renderers, which for those who aren't familiar with the term, is something where you hit a render button and it takes a while to render one frame, aka cycles, Corona render, V-Ray, blah, 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 blah. An online renderer or a real-time renderer is one which is real-time, generally speaking, or at least close to real-time. So, for example, Unreal Engine, Unity, Eevee. Those are those are online real-time renderers. So, I'm just reading your comments from 30 seconds ago, making sure that it's not people saying, oh, you can't hear anything. So, yeah, that's the approach, right? So it's the real time and it's the online. And what's interesting is that in the last couple of years, like there used to be two entirely separate worlds, right? But now the offline rendering people are using AI to denoise things. So Cycles, for example, now has AI denoising thanks to optics. I guess there's an Intel version as well. And it's doing something which previously was very, very hard to do. There was denoisers before this, of course, but nowhere near as good as it is now. So now it's not just like adding a soft filter to everything, which was sort of the extent of a lot of denoising previously. It's doing a proper, like, wow, it was real time. It was noisy, and now it's like clear, and there doesn't seem to be many downsides. And that's been amazing because it's like overnight we were able to reduce our render times by like 5, like X5, you know. Like I had a scene, like just yesterday I published my studio lighting tutorial, which if you haven't seen, understood, it's only been less than 12 hours or something. Yeah, in that scene, it was like 200 samples, which would not be final quality, right? 200 samples was too noisy for that type of scene, but it was fine with denoising. So basically, we got a huge render time reduction to the point that I was able to render that one frame in 9 seconds on 2 RTX Titans. I know that's, yeah, you keep flexing your cards, Andrew, and I will. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep talking about how much better my computer is than yours. No. Anyways, so then there's the online crowd, the real-time crowd, and they've always had to do hacks. They've had to do, what's that thing? It's like the geometry. It reads the geometry and how much geometry is shown on the screen, and then it kind of does like almost like a Photoshop kind of fakery of like, oh, we can kind of guess that based on that there'd be somewhat of a reflection, but it's all fakery, right? And then Unreal Engine, or NVIDIA, that's right, they did their like real-time ray tracing. And that was kind of like, holy cow, real-time ray tracing. So they're now injecting offline stuff into the online stuff to make it more physically accurate and better, but still being run at real time. And then meanwhile, you've got offline renderers, which are getting faster and faster. So basically, it's like they're slowly converging to a point where we will have, for once, physically accurate, but near real-time results. And so anyways, I was talking to NVIDIA about this yesterday. And we kind of like, we were agreeing. We're like, yeah, it's kind of fascinating seeing how the industry's changing. And then I was thinking in my head, I'm like, man, Unreal Engine 4, that's been around for years. Surely they're working on 5. And then, of course, today, as I wake up, I was talking to Bill Barber this morning, who is one of the guys that works for us at Polygon. And yeah, he was like, have you seen the Unreal Engine 5 unveiling? And I said, what? There's an unveiling of Unreal Engine 5 while I was asleep? So I watched like a short snippet of it, okay? And I was like, we have to watch this. We have to stream it together. So I'm trying streaming, and I'm sure it's, I'm sure it's not as nice as all your other streamers, but anyways, we're going to watch this together. I don't know if I'm going to get flagged for like watching somebody else's video on YouTube. I guess we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm just going to click play and I'm going to react to it. And then we're going to talk about what I think I saw. So I guess this is the feature highlights. This is the 2-minute version. And then we have the 9-minute version with all the juicy details. But let's kick it off. The following was captured in real time, running on PlayStation 5. Oh, look at that. So far, like it's just not that different. Okay, so this is interesting. I have no idea what the heck that was. Hang on. Let's go back to you. What did it say? Film quality assets with billions of triangles. Billions! With a B. To be honest, I don't know what that really means because I don't use Unreal Engine. It's good. People are like, oh God, that's the whole live stream. No, like I don't know what a typical game engine could handle in terms of triangles. I assume not billions. So I assume that's a big breakthrough. But yeah, so far, like, I guess the biggest thing that stands out to me is, the geometry, but also not the geometry, because this kind of thing could be faked before with tessellation and normal maps and just understanding how to optimize the hell out of it. So far, not that exciting, but let's see what we have. No more Polygon budgets. Wait, what? No, you must always have a budget for Polygon. Build that into your financials. Get it? All right. No normal maps needed. Oh, well, surely you'd want that anyway. Full dynamic real. Okay, that's the exciting bit. So this is the thing that I thought, and I actually told NVIDIA this on their call yesterday. I gave them some feedback. With the release of the RTX, like RTX on, and it was this big marketing thing, I thought they did a kind of a poor job at marketing it, because they should have shown this stuff with the light moving. That actually shows you the light bounces. They kept showing static light shots, and they're like, look, RTX on, RTX off. And it was like, we had light baking before. If it's a static light, who cares? With the light moving, that changes everything. And that introduces some new gameplay elements and a whole bunch of other things. So they're finally, this is the exciting bit. Look at that light moving. Look at that. Holy guacamole. So, interestingly, it's not it's still not as good. Like, you wouldn't say that this looks like, you know, Corona Renderer or V-Ray or Arnold or Cycles. Like, it doesn't look that good, but it looks way better than other engines. It could also just be how this was art directed, but let's proceed. Oh, there you go. Particle intercommunication. Okay. Intelligent flocking with spatial awareness. Okay. Oh, so the birds are more realistic? I'm sold! Foot placement? I don't know what that... Okay. So I imagine there's like a small subset of like people that wanted to develop a rock climbing game for years, and they're like, finally, interactive foot placement on the geometry. I don't know, I'm sure it's helpful. Unreal Engine. Sorry, I'm looking on my phone to make sure that I'm still live streaming because I have no idea. V. And that's the big moment. That's the big unveiling. All right, so that was the feature highlight so far. Pretty impressive. But let's geek out with the 9-minute video, now that we know what we're getting ourselves into. So they're now going to explain to us why this is exciting, and then I'm going to explain to you why it is or isn't, but probably is. I think it's pretty exciting. Epic destroying the world right now with their money they're throwing around. Holy guacamole. First they're purchasing Megascans, and they're just like giving money away to creators, and now they're just, I think they're going to dominate the virtual world. That's what they hope anyway.
Hello, I'm Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games.
And I'm the
Hi,
accountant.
I'm Jerome Plateau, Art Director of the Special
kidding.
Project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were two key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting instantaneously.
Cool.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static. And I'm able to iterate a lot
So
faster.
French.
And we call this new system Lumen. And we're about to show you what it is capable of. But first, there was another area that we thought we could push forward. Truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls.
I like that they
memory.
green screened
Directly use film quality assets and bring them straight
in front
into
of
the
their
engine.
own logo.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data, without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of
I like the
Unreal
marketing
Engine running
spin.
live
They've
on
always got a
PlayStation
name for
5.
it.
Awesome. Let's take a look at
It's
it.
like, it's not just like virtual geometry, but it's like, and we call this, it's like, oh, you created a new name. Nanite. Also, what was that bit about Lumen? Is it something about Lumen? I guess that's global illumination. Anyway.
This has to be the right way.
See, that's kind of, because that looks like, you know, Blur Studio, how they always do their game trailers. That looks like a game trailer, because the shadows, they're fully interacting, right? Like, it's not like a fakery. There's real shadow, there's real ambient occlusion. The light isn't hitting the underside of the eyeball like it would with like a little fakery thing. It seems to be the real deal. I could be talking out of my butt there, but that's what I think. And let me just check again. Yeah, all right, cool. I guess I should also pull up your chat so that I can see what you're all saying. Nani, Nanite, Newman, Lumion. All right, let's continue. Ho! And it's, look at that. So that's, you know, you can have like all the most like beautiful like camera controlled shots of things and people are like, I don't get it. Why is that interesting? But when you see the character running through it, it's like, oh, it's actually real time. Then you get it. So that's what a demo is all about. Oh, the next Uncharted game is going to be
Let's stop a
insane.
moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo. Much of what you see was built with Quixel Megascan assets, but
Oh,
instead
you
of using
don't
the game
say.
versions, we used the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film. There are around 1 million triangles each, and thanks to virtual texturing, they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly.
Oh yeah, someone says go full screen. All right. Yeah, fine, full screen.
There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles.
Say that again.
There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame
Okay.
that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles.
Okay. So I guess it's kind of like a real... Didn't they have that before with Unreal Engine? They had like a kind of a level of detail, like optimization. Wasn't there already something there? I assume that this is just like leagues better and can handle so much more. But anyways. Oh, everyone's saying thanks for the full screen. I guess that's what all the chat was about previously, and now I've listened. You're right. I've got a 4K monitor because I'm cool and it's big, and so I don't mind watching in a windowed view. But of course, good idea to make it full screen.
What does that many triangles look like?
Yes. What does that many
This
triangles
isn't
look
noise.
like?
These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise.
Yeah.
Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel.
Down to
which
the
means
pixel.
triangles are often the size of pixels. This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too. Speaking of lighting,
Damn, that's
all of the lighting in
impressive.
the-
You know, that is actually really impressive. Like you could imagine sure, this is the drone flying around, but you could imagine the character just walking up to little bits and pieces of a game and
Nanite can do that
getting
too.
in that close and seeing like the rock that is like a background placement rock or something, and it's actually got the real texture and the geometry and displacement. That's actually exciting. I agree.
Speaking of lighting,
I
all of
concur.
the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic, with the power of Lumen that
Here we
even
go,
includes
here we
multi-bounce
go.
global illumination.
Ready?
No light maps, no baking here. Without GI, all of that beautiful lighting is gone. With Lumen enabled, we can move the light and
That's
the bounce
cool.
changes
There you
instantly.
go. See, that's the demo they should have dang well showed with the RTX on. That's what's exciting about this. It's not baked. The light can be moved around. Like you could imagine like a game on like a helicopter or a sinking ship, or you're in like a closed space, and then like as the sunlight comes in and it swings around, like it's showing different parts of the submarine or something like that. Or maybe like a cave. That's probably a better example. But that's so important
Okay,
to
let's
have
keep
it
going.
move. Oh, Unreal Hentai. What is with you nerds and every
We've made
live
some
stream
great
I've done,
additions
someone's
to our
talking about
audio system
hentai.
as well. Convolution reverb allows us to measure reverberation characteristics of real spaces, like actual caves that we sampled, and reproduce them in virtual spaces.
Okay.
Sound field rendering allows us to record and playback spatialized audio.
No one cares about audio. Nobody ever has cared about audio.
All of this adds up to a more immersive experience.
It's like every like game tech thing they talk about the audio, and everyone's like, yeah. I don't understand it. I'm sure it is important. Audiophiles out there are screaming. Oh, look at the bird
This
physics!
swarm of bats was created with our Niagara effects system. Particles in Niagara can now talk to one
Impressive.
another and understand their environment like never before.
You know, I guess it's impressive, but also it's probably not, because you could have also just like animated those bats, which is what they would have done previously. You'd have a flock of bats and go, I guess we got to animate them, and they would all go together. So to a gamer, they're just like, it looks like the other bats that I saw in the other. Anyway.
We've also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below.
Oh, I missed that.
Also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below.
I guess it's cool. It does kind of look like she's moving through jelly, but, you know. Hey, it's real time. Look at that geometry! Holy guacamole!
The demo runs on our chaos physics system. Here we are using it to accurately simulate the rigid bodies of the falling rocks and the cloth of her scarf.
Okay, but I want to see a big rock fall and go like crack and disintegrate. Because little pebbles, I'm not impressed. Show me some big rocks. So they said the cloth is moving as well. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it is. She's got like a sachet over her shoulder.
Now that the
Oh, look at
environment is so
that.
complex,
Look at
we've
that
needed to
little
greatly
cape
improve our
thingy
animation
just
systems
flowing
to adapt.
around.
We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping,
That's
which dynamically
very
modifies
impressive.
IK and body position to look more natural.
Okay, well, let's see that
Improve
again
our
then. So we're supposed to be looking at the IK, whatever that, no, inverse kinematics or whatever it's called. So the animation, she's supposed to be placing her feet where they would logically be. So let's see what that is.
Animation systems to adapt. We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping, which dynamically modifies IK and body position.
That is actually really impressive.
Complex. We've needed to greatly improve our animation systems to adapt.
Because I guess like I remember when I played Uncharted 4, whenever you had like a rock climbing scene like this, it was always like individual rocks were like, you know, jutting out very clearly, and it kind of broke the realism because it's like, yeah, this is like an uncharted cave that no one's ever been to, and yet there's clear places for me to put my hands and feet, because of course it had to for the game. But now I guess they can just throw a giant complex cliff type texture on it and the character will just figure out where to put their feet. I'm sure there's going to be some fun sequences of people playing these games, and it's going to be like Elastigirl, just going like, stretching her feet way out of where it should be. So we'll see. Unreal foot placement. Grab the yellow paint. Whatever that means.
Foot placement and motion warping, which
I prefer
dynamically
Unity, but this
modifies
looks
IK
cool
and
still.
body position
Cool.
to look more natural. For the character to more realistically interact with the environment, we've added the ability to trigger seamless contextual animation events, like her hand on the door.
Looks promising.
Okay. Oh, the hand on the door. Ah.
Dynamic GI
I don't
is
know what that
amazing,
means.
not just for speeding up iteration, but also for its impact on gameplay.
I guess I should turn down the volume
Any
there.
light source can move while
It
still
might
having
be.
beautiful bounce lighting.
So that's so that's really impressive. That's what I'm kind of excited about, is that, yeah, you could have moving light and all that kind of thing, but like the player's interaction. And for a game like Uncharted or Tomb Raider or whatever this game is, I don't know if they actually said what game it is, but for something like this, where you're walking into a dark room, it's actually like it adds something to the gameplay. It's dark and you have to figure out how to turn the lights on, and your light source actually reveals different parts of the room, as opposed to before it was kind of like faking. It wasn't as good as this, basically, like all the light bounces and stuff inside. Like you could see like the light fall off, like on this statue on the left-hand side versus the statue way in the background there. That would have to have been baked in, which means any additional light you added in wouldn't be able to sort of interact with that or whatnot. But now, when she goes, ba-da-bam, it's like now all these characters are lit, right? So it's slowly becoming more and more like an offline renderer. Probably not to the extreme quality of an offline renderer, but dang well close. So that's impressive.
Any
Look
light
at
source can move while still having
that.
beautiful bounce lighting. Dynamic illumination means specular as well, which you can see on all the metal surfaces.
Yeah.
You can even
I don't know. So dynamic illumination means specular as well. I guess. Oh yeah, because I guess the specular reflection was also faked previously, like screen space reflection, whereas this is ray trace reflection. So you should see the actual reflection of the object behind it, and the reflection, the specular highlight of the thing as it should.
see the Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light.
Oh.
Lumen not only reacts to moving light sources, but also changes in geometry.
Do the insects have shadows? That's what I want to know. Give me insect shadows or give me nothing. Does he have a shadow? He probably does. I think they do. Impressive. Really impressive. Okay, now that's cool, right? Look at that! So the way those rocks fell, and then the global illumination on top of it, like now lighting up the room. That's what I'm talking about. Gameplay interaction. So look at the rocks. That wasn't just like a like what normally happens in a game. But they're actually like one landed and then another one landed on top of it and like bounced off it. That's actually impressive. Whoa. Look at that. Look at that. And it, oh yeah, that big one. Like how it landed on its side and went like that, as opposed to previously, like it would just almost be like a particle and it just kind of goes and stops. But now it's actually, I guess, like the geometry of it. Oh, oh, impressive.
Remember we mentioned high poly assets?
You know, I'm finally seeing, like, you know, when there was Unreal Engine 4 and they had like, oh, we got chaos physics and we got ray tracing. I was always like, you know. But now it seems like now they've rolled it into an entirely new engine. It's finally starting to make sense. Before, with that chaos physics demo they had, I wasn't like, you know, whatever. But this, like, it seems like now they've built an entirely new system around it, as opposed to like trying to clink it onto something that was already outdated. It's working. It's working a lot better. Cool. Let's go forward.
The statue was imported directly from ZBrush and is more than 33 million triangles. No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs.
No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs. Well, dadgummit, I got to tell my Polygon team to stop making LODs. Because we're making rocks at the moment, and we're going to all this trouble to bake the LODs. What a waste of time. Look at that. No bake. Okay, but here's the other thing they don't talk about. Of course you're going to have normal maps, right? Because you would be missing, like, there's no way you could have, like, the cracks and, like, or, like, I just don't see, I mean, I could be totally wrong here, but, like, I don't see that, like, we've arrived at this point where we don't need normal maps anymore. Because it can still add, like, tiny little microscopic, like, little amounts of detail that you previously wouldn't have. So I don't see how we're there. I think we're you're definitely going to have normal maps. Surely. If you're not, you're kind of missing out on detail. I could be totally wrong there. But anyways, let's see what the comments say. Directly from ZBrush, Unreal Engine is free. Well, you don't say. Why do they speak like that? No RTX in this demo. What about the UVs? Don't delete your normal maps just yet. Yeah, I agree. What's the point? Bake light mapping, etc. Cool. All right, 30-second delay. That's fun. All right, as we continue, we're about halfway through here.
And we can do more than a single statue. There are
my
nearly
gosh.
500 of that exact statue at the same detail level placed in this room for a total of over 16 billion triangles from statues alone.
Holy guacamole, really? Wow. Whoa.
Over this entire demo,
500
there
of
are
those statues.
hundreds of billions of triangles.
Hundreds of billions of triangles. You know, that is actually really damn impressive. Whoa. Yeah, that's definitely next gen. Look at that. Oh! I don't know. I was just drawn to the highlights on this model here. Because it seems like it's... You know, like that's kind of an example of where a previous game would not have this, right? Like that would be like a specular map and it would be like a faked reflection screen space. Whereas in this case, the lighting is coming from somewhere up to the top right. And there's an edge, like a bevel to the geometry of this object. So it's very geometry dense. And because it's ray traced, it's the actual reflection. And therefore, you're getting something. And it's like, you know, zooming in on this and like showing it in a side-by-side demo, it's probably not that impressive, right? Because people would go like, yeah, but I've seen that before. I've seen reflection before in other games. But as a like continued experience, as part of like a room with 500 statues, and then you're getting up close and you're seeing this, it's like, okay, this is getting exciting. That's really impressive. Like, you see what I mean? This looks like a cinematic, right? That Blur Studio would have done. It's really impressive. Look at that.
So with Nanite, you have limitless geometry.
Here we go.
With Lumen, You have fully dynamic lighting and
Lumen.
global illumination, all
Oh!
running on a PlayStation 5.
Crack open Pandora's box. Damn, dude. Next gen consoles finally catching up. This is what PC gamers have been wanting. Okay. So this is again like this kind of scene here. It's like I played something exactly like this in Uncharted 4 and it looked pretty similar, right? But from a developer standpoint, extremely exciting. No level of details, far less work, baking stuff and trying to optimize stuff. You know, I might actually turn into an Unreal Engine user after this because that's what's always turned me off Unreal is like, or any game engine. I tried Unity as well, is that you don't get to just like play with it like the actual asset is. Like in Blender, you drop in a rock, you drop in a thing, you add the texture, you go bam. Whereas Unreal Engine, it felt like I had to do a whole bunch of farting around with get the level of detail small enough, bake the maps, and I don't know, it just seemed like a lot of, and then the light baking and all that kind of stuff. If it can function a lot like Cycles, then hey, I think I'm there. Yeah, that's impressive. I think it's going to speed up development for sure. Possibly. I don't know. There's probably like a whole bunch of other extra tinkering settings that you now have to deal with, but we'll see. Yeah, anyway, all right, let's finish this video.
There's not much time left.
And this doesn't need to be constrained to small rooms. It can stretch all the way to the horizon.
Someone in the comments said, how big is this scene? 2 terabytes?
Portal.
That's just something that's probably not talked about. If this is just a tech demo, they might have so much data in here that you couldn't actually, you know, download it, right? Like as an actual game. If this was part of a full world, I don't see how that's possible.
Don't fail me now.
Oh, don't fail me now. And she's a bird, and she flies. Oh, parkour! Oh! Very cool, but makes no sense for the game. She's just like wingsuit diving. And she's an anime character. That was actually really cool. I'm gonna play that again.
Fail me now.
Don't fail me now! The music kicks in. Yeah. Now let's freeze frame it when she lands and see if the detail is there. I can't see it, but the motion blurs. Definitely a lot. Like, see what this is like a cinematic, meaning it looks like it was rendered with an offline renderer. Okay. Is the detail there? It looks like it damn well is. Doesn't look... I mean, it's blurred, so who actually knows? Don't fail me now. Plasma blue.
What's next?
What's next is give Epic your money. Dang. So that's their business model, right? Like, let's make an engine which is so easy to use. So we give you all the assets, mega scans included for free, and we won't ask for any money until you make over $1 million or something. That's their so it's coming 2021. 21? Wait a minute. I don't have that much time to wait. That's way out there. Way out there. All right, well, that was cool. So let's talk about it. What does everybody think about that? Yeah, am I going full screen? Does my full screen face show? I just changed an OBS setting. We'll see. if it actually does. The 20-second delay. Yep. Okay, my face is showing. All is good. I assume you can all still hear me. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? So this was 30 FPS, 50K, fully ray traced. Let's see these comments here. Oh, use the period and comma keys to move the video one frame at a time while paused. Oh yeah, true. I could have done that, but didn't. Cool. Whoa. Hang on. What's everyone saying? Mic changed. Audio changed. Bad mic. What happened to your mic? Oh, I'm using the wrong mic. Am I? How's that? Ooh, I think I clipped it. How's that? I think I'm using the proper mic now. I guess I'll wait 20 seconds to verify that. Dadgummit. Why is there a 20-second delay? Doesn't make any sense. Other mic better. Other mic wrong. This is from 20 seconds ago, so I assume at some point, did your mic change? Wrong mic switch. Terrible mic. Nice sunlight. One guy's really interested by the sunlight. Much better. Better, good. Here, Andrew's good. But yes, better, good. This is like stream of conscious. It's like, it feels like I've just like plugged an AI system into like narrate my life, and it's just like throwing words that make no sense. All right, I assume this is better. So let's talk about the thoughts on that. I don't know what I can do about that sunlight. That's going straight through the blind, so I'll just have to move out of the way. That was cool, huh? That was damn cool. Unreal Engine 5, man, stepping up. Epic Games doing its epicness. That was lame. Lamest thing I've ever said. Yeah, that's, trying to think, what do you make of that? My prediction for the future of the industry. I mean, I definitely don't see offline renderers going anywhere anytime soon, because I'm sure there's still optimizations that were made to, make it run in real time. Whereas, there is always going to be sacrifices, at least now. At some point, maybe 5-10 years in the future, you might actually be able to get sort of like Corona render, style quality in real time, maybe. But for now, I don't see it. I'm sure there are basically some downsides and limitations to it being real time. Yeah, but definitely like heads and shoulders like overnight difference between 4 and 5, and it's finally exciting enough that I could see myself picking it up, trying some stuff, because I would imagine it's a big reason that a lot of people start using Blender is because they play video games. It's a heavily male audience, the Blender crowd, and so is the video game crowd. So let me just ask you guys, how many of you started using Blender because of a video game? Or maybe just ask a general question. How many, what reasons did you start using Blender? Was it from a movie like Pixar, like an animated movie? Was it VFX like Game of Thrones? Or was it video games? I'd just be curious to know that. And I have to wait 20, 30 seconds to see it. That's ridiculous. Somebody got to tell me how to run OBS through it without it taking like 30 seconds delay. Quarantine Andrew is daddy. I got to start blocking all these people talking about hentai, and some guy was talking about pedophilia. Yikes. Wrong stream, buddy. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Me. VFX, stop motion, video games, animation, Star Wars, old school, I hope. Video games, Pixar and TV. Games, movies, quarantine. I like that. It's like I had nothing else to do. I could either do a pottery class or I could learn 3D. Quarantine made me use Blender. Yikes, it's going way too fast. Started using Blender because school made me. One triangle, every pixel is amazing. Yeah, agreed. I'm a concept artist. Most concept artists are picking up Blender. I've definitely noticed that. There is a huge amount of people starting it. I gotta move my chair up or something. It doesn't go any higher. Does it? Am I higher now? Maybe. Twitch has low latency mode. Yeah, so does what's her face? So does YouTube. But then it's like poor quality from what I could gather. I don't know. Who is the lucky girl? I don't know what you're talking about. Jurassic Park T-Rex. Do you think Godot will have a response? So Godot, he's talking about the open source game engine called Godot. And while I would love it to be up to the standards of Blender in terms of, you know, being competitive with the industry, Unreal Engine is setting a unreasonably high benchmark to get there. The trouble is Unreal Engine has too much money. Epic has too much money because they created, what is it? What was the game? Fortnite. And they were able to print money. And they still are printing money. Which meant that they just had money sitting around and they're like, what do we do with all this money? Well, let's make our game engine so insanely powerful and so much better than the competition by leagues through just pure man hours and hiring the best, you know, pixel scientists and that nobody can keep up. Unity is just sitting there like, I wish we had a Fortnite. That would be nice. If we had a machine that printed money, we could hire some more people. Gosh, the way they are dominating the market, it's insane. It's probably going to be one of those companies that's talked about in like 20 years from now as like a company and what their strategy was and how they did it. Very hard to replicate. I thought it was Wii Sports. No, it was not Wii Sports. How can they render that many polygons in real time? Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. That's what I mean. They've just figured it out. So anyways, I just wanted to do this live stream because I wanted to watch their announcement, and I thought some people are going to be asking me on Twitter and whatnot, what do I think of it? And I thought, I'll just make a live stream and then I can show them that and you can see my reaction in real time. I don't know what to make of it. I guess video games and offline rendering are just going to continue to merge and merge and merge and merge and bing. And it's just all going to be real time, you know? And we'll all just be adding stuff, sculpting characters, throwing displacement and polygons this and chuck in another photo scanned house in the background, and it'll all just be real time, and we'll just go like cool, and it'll just be like using Photoshop. There won't be any downtime. Essentially, you'll drag in a giant skyscraper and move it across, and you'll see the light interact with your scene, and then you'll be able to zoom right in on that skyscraper and go to the 30th floor of the office building with a chair and see the frills of somebody's cardigan on the chair just go, and you go, the future. It's so bright. I don't know. It's exciting. It's really, really super exciting. I don't think this changes anything for Blender because, I mean, Unreal Engine are one of the big sponsors of Blender. So if you go to the Dev Fund Blender, let me just check. Make sure I get my facts straight here. The Development Fund, blender.org. Who are they? Yes, Epic is a Mega Grants recipient. So they got a huge amount of money. So is NVIDIA. So is AMD. How about that? 3 of the biggest 3D companies with the most money. Who has more money, Epic or Autodesk? You would think Epic by a mile, but holy cow, if you've read the Autodesk financials, they're making some sweet cash. Not even from 3ds Max and Maya. It's like all their AutoCAD and Viz software that every engineering company in the world needs to use. They're just reaping it in. Like every year on year, it's like 20, 30% growth. Like it's insane. They're in the billions. But I don't know. Epic's probably up there as well with Fortnite. If every kid in the world is asking their dad for $10 so they can buy the new Fortnite skin, it's a lot of cash. So who else is a sponsor? Tangent Labs. They're the ones who made Next Gen. Ubisoft. They're corporate gold. Embark. That's a big studio, video game studio, I guess. CGGE Institute. Hey, CGGE Institute. It's too many E sounds. Get a better name. You don't even have a logo. What are you? Who is the CGGE Institute? CG Global Entertainment. Oh, anyways. Intel is a corporate gold. And then going down the list, you got Adidas, Blender Market, Steam Workshop, Google, corporate silver. Come on, man. You got more cash than that. Corporate bronze, diamond. I don't know why I'm just reading out names here. That's not what you came to this live stream for. Cool. Well, that concludes my thoughts on Unreal Engine 5. It's exciting, but it's going to be 2021, guys. That's just all like, we're just going to sit around and talk about it until then. I kind of want to rub my hands together and get cracking and see how this whole system works. Because that is interesting, like the idea of if you make it so that the models no longer have to be optimized, right? And you could just throw in a rock at like 50 million polygons and go, here you go, Unreal Engine, deal with it. The problem you then have is that rock was like 2 gigabytes or even bigger, 5 gigabytes. And that's one rock in an environment, the Rocky Canyons or wherever your game is set. That could actually be the limitation, which means that guy who was talking about, I talked about it in my AI in 3D speech at the Blender conference. I talked about all some different machine learning and technologies that'll probably change the future of 3D. But there was a guy that I found. What was his name? Game Sutra or something? It was hang on. The cost of video games. Because basically his prediction was that in the future the limitation is going to be bandwidth. It's not really going to be the game itself, like whether or not it can render it, but the size of the video game. So he said, like, if people are going to keep wanting bigger and bigger worlds, right? You have to procedurally create that content. Basically, No Man's Sky is a great example. In the scale of, what was it? It was like 11 trillion planets in this No Man's Sky. You could land on each one and go out and plants and aliens and whatever and mine for things. The amount of, like, if that had to be at like the detail of what we just saw, it'd be impossible. You would never be able to put that in there. The computer has to invent that detail. It has to generate that detail. You couldn't photo scan a rock and then put that into it. It just wouldn't happen, at least not in probably 50 years. I don't see bandwidth getting to the scale that we can download, like, I don't know what's after a petabyte. I'm sure there's a scale, and I'll find out in 30 seconds once the comments catch up. Just trillions of petabytes of data to have a system where you could land on a world and have photo scanned everything. I don't think it's going to happen. So it's going to be procedural. So it's kind of interesting. And at Polygon, we've got this question at the moment. It's like, do we go the photo scanning route and photo scan grounds, textures, and rocks and all that stuff? Or do we go the procedural route? So we've been doing a bit of both. So we've got a team of substance artists that create the substance materials on Polygon. And that gives us an insane amount of freedom. Because once we've made one wood generator, that's wood forever, baby. That's wood handled. I never have to worry about wood again because we've got a thing with a slider that goes, if you want more veins, if you want a different species of wood, you click this, click this, click this, and it's done forever. Which means you could get like 100,000 different types of wood out of one out of one generator, which is insane. So that's the procedural approach. However, the downside to procedural is that it is a lot harder and takes a lot more time to reach the detail of a photo scan. And that's sort of the problem that we're facing at the moment, is it's like, how can you get a photo scan quality, but with the flexibility of a procedural workflow? So there's truth to both. Probably some, and I noticed actually Substance in their library, they now actually stock photo scanned assets as well as procedural assets. So even they, the inventor of procedural textures, not the inventor, but you know what I mean, they friggin' ballooned it. They made it happen for the world. Whereas everybody else, the Blender was like, noise texture, isn't it cool? But anyways, so even they are convinced that you got to have photo scanning to get some of that detail. That's right, glass mode. I don't really need it, or do I? Sometimes my eyes get exhausted when I'm looking at a screen. So I just put on glasses, and does it help? I don't know. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, guys. As you can see, I've run out of words to say. I'd like to do another one of these where I answer questions and whatnot. But I can't do it with a 30-second delay. There's zero interaction here. So maybe I will at some point. But until then, thank you all for watching. And maybe I'll see you at another future unannounced live stream, because I don't want to announce them, because sometimes I wake up in the morning and I go, I don't want to do anything today. I want to go back to sleep. I have a 2-month, 3-month-old baby, and he cries sometimes, and I get zero sleep. So I don't want to have to then hop in front of a camera. So if you see me do a live stream, jump on, enable the little bell for the YouTube thing, and then you'll get like a notification on your phone if I do another live stream. That's the best I can offer you guys. I'm not going to announce a set schedule. I don't like schedules. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you hopefully in the next one. Take care.